Welcome to the, what is today? The January 10th, 2022 school board meeting. Mr. Badouris, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I just ask everyone to quiet your cell phones and join us in a moment of silence after we are done with this. Thank you. We rise in a moment of silence for two students who passed away in the last few weeks. The family of Logan Bergacher from Brooks Middle School and Ethan Rico from Bolingbrook High School have our deepest thoughts and prayers and condolences. At this moment, I would ask everyone to reflect for a moment. Thank you. Mr. Zach, if you would please, the board affirmation statement.
Our mission is to empower all learners to be college, career, and life ready, and to develop, grow, and achieve as productive citizens.
Thank you. Moving down the agenda, Ms. Kinder.
Yes, sir. I would like to ask the board to approve the agenda as presented.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The ayes have it. Student and staff recognition.
Tonight we have a staff spotlight, and it is on one of our transportation team members, driver Mrs. Marlo Moss, who is a longtime veteran of the department and certainly represents the heart and dedication that our transportation team brings to serve our students every single day. So take a moment to visit with Mrs. Marlo Moss.
Come on, you guys.
Most people think that a bus driver comes in the morning, jumps in their bus, drives away, picks up their kids, and drops them off at school. But what is something that most people don't understand about what a bus driver does every day?
We just don't get on the bus and drive. We walk around the whole bus, make sure it's safe, check our wheels, everything inside, check our windows, make sure if there's ever an accident, everyone could get out safely. I became a bus driver because first my mother was a bus driver, and for extra money and my kids, it just worked out. I like to work with the same district, so when the kids are off, I'm off. I don't have to get a babysitter. Summers are here. I don't need a babysitter. I'm off in the summers for Christmas, Easter. It just worked out that I didn't need a babysitter. I didn't have to pay anyone. I just watch my own kids.
What is the satisfaction you get from doing your job?
I guess seeing the kids every day. You know, especially it was a hard year this year that we just passed. The kids, the smiles on their faces, even though you don't see them, but you could see them with the mask on, you know, and they missed it too. They missed being on the bus and being with their friends.
You have been driving the same bus route for 7 years. So not only have you developed relationships with your students, you've developed relationships with the families. You've watched these children grow up.
I see a lot of kids grow up. It's funny because when I see them in high school, and what makes me smile is they remember my name, and I'm like, oh my God, they remember me, you know. It's rewarding.
On the bus today, you are giving out rings to the students, but the rings aren't intended for the students you're giving them to. Explain that.
This year, instead of giving them the rings for them, I thought it would be nice for them to give it to someone that they thought maybe wasn't feeling good today or having a bad day. Christmas is around the corner. It's Friday. Everyone should be happy to give someone cheer. I always say, put that frown upside down and make it a smile. And it's teaching them how to do like an act of kindness. And I'm just providing the rings, these Christmas rings for them. And of course they would get one themselves. At the end of the day today, they will get their own as well. And I told everyone, especially my 5th graders, if they like it, we could do it again next Friday to keep up the cheer. And a lot of them were, you can't hear them on the bus that much, but I got like thumbs up, so I know that it was all good.
Thank you, Marlo, and thank you to the entire transportation team. We know the heart and dedication you have for our kids, and we appreciate everything you do every single day.
Moving down the agenda, Treasurer's Report, Mr. Grisafi, 6.1.
Treasurer's Action Report 6.1 includes the statement of revenue, expenditures, and equity for the month of December. Also the balance sheets for funds 1 through 8, 11, and 90. Also the summary of revenue and expenditures and encumbrances for those same funds. Also seeking approval for the total interim obligations and debt service payments for the month totaling $5,704,757.87.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Member Badouris?
Yes.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Venegas?
Yes.
Member Perro?
Yes.
Vice President Zach?
Yes.
President Quigley?
Yes. Gary.
Recommending approval of the bills payable for 5 funds listed there, 5 funds totaling $1,788,736.07.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. Roll call vote, please.
Member Perro?
Yes.
Member Venegas?
Yes.
Member Campbell? Member Badouris?
Yes.
Vice President Zach?
Yes.
President Quigley?
Yes.
We've got the summary of investments for the month of December, the property taxes received through the month of December, state funding update, and this all schools trust account activity for your information and questions if you have any.
Anybody have any questions of Gary on those? If not, move down the agenda. Thank you, Gary. Consent agenda items. Ms. Kinder.
Thank you, President Quigley. We have 5 items under consent that we are seeking the board's approval on. 7.1, board meeting minutes from December 13th, 2021. 7.2, executive session and board workshop meeting minutes, December 13th, 2021. 7.3, gifts to Beverly Scoff Elementary and Bolingbrook High School. 7.4, school activity contract, Bolingbrook High School and World's Finest Chocolates. And 7.5, Bolingbrook High School trip.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Member Venegas? Yes. Member Perro? Thank you.
Yes.
Member Badouris?
Yes.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Vice President Zach?
Yes.
President Quigley?
Yes. Liaison reports. Any and all from my right? Any and all from my left? Just one brief one. The legislative report. The Illinois General Assembly returned to session for 1 day last week. Due to COVID situations and expanding numbers, they are meeting remotely this week and only doing committee action. They are scheduled to return on the 18th. It is a fluid situation. The Illinois General Assembly normally adjourns in May on the 31st. They have scheduled an abbreviated, and I mean abbreviated, session of April 8th. Whether they will meet that deadline, I do not know, but that's what they have on the schedule. Due to the considerations of the redistricting and the time that it took for the census and all those things combined, the primary election, not the general election, I'm sorry, primary election, which would normally be in April or March, has been moved all the way to June 28th. The idea being that they will shorten up the session and then folks will have time to get back into districts to campaign, again, for the June 28th primary. And then, of course, the general election will be back in November. So that's the latest and greatest from Springfield. Moving down the agenda, is there anybody in the audience who wishes to address the board this evening? If you do, please step forward. Seeing none, hearing none, moving down the agenda. Ms. Kinder, board policies, please.
Yes, action report 10.1, seeking the board's approval on 4 policies that were presented previously for information and review. 3.60, 4.10, 4.60, and 4.120.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
1 and 2, got it? Motion seconded. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Member Badouris?
Yes.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Venegas?
Yes.
Member Perro?
Yes.
Vice President Zach?
Yes.
President Quigley?
Yes.
Action report 10.2, seeking your approval on student due process cases A through D as presented.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Venegas,
Yes.
Member Perro,
Yes.
Member Badouris,
Yes.
Vice President Zach,
Yes.
President Quigley.
Yes. Next on the agenda.
Thank you. And action report 10.3 is the high school summer school program 2022. Information is included in this action report and was presented at the last board meeting. We're happy to answer any questions you have this evening.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Anybody have any questions on the summer school program? It's a ways away, but we have discussed it, so if you have questions after the fact, please let Ms. Kinder or someone on staff know. We have motion second. No further discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Member Venegas,
Yes.
Member Perro,
Yes.
Member Badouris,
Yes.
Member Campbell,
Yes.
Vice President Zach,
Yes.
President Quigley.
Yes. Moving down the agenda, Mr. Grisafi, federally funded technology upgrades. We like those kind of upgrades.
Absolutely. At the November 15th Board of Education meeting, we brought an information report letting you know that we were seeking approval for purchase of student computing devices and internet connections, as well as Wi-Fi connectivity in all district buses. Happy to report that this competitive grant was approved on December 20th of 2021. Within that grant, we would be purchasing 6,700 student Chromebooks to replace equipment that will reach the end of its useful life at the end of this school year. We reviewed 6 different makes and models of Chromebooks and decided on a Dell 2-in-1 flip touchscreen Chromebook with 8 gigs of memory as the preferred model at a cost of $391 per unit. The grant itself covers the device in full, but it does not cover licensing, provisioning, and peripherals, and those costs would have to be covered by our tech lease. Those devices would be utilized primarily at the middle and high school levels. In terms of student internet connectivity, the grant would cover up to $30 per connection per month for a specific number of students at home using MiFi devices. The identified students are either currently using MiFi hotspots or indicated on the survey that they need home internet connection for remote learning. Lastly, the grant would provide internet Wi-Fi connectivity on our district buses, allowing students to utilize the connection for remote learning while traveling to and from home and school, as well as school-related activities such as sporting events. In the event of an emergency, the internet connection on the bus could be utilized to support live streaming of the bus, and only if that situation warranted the need for this functionality. The grant would cover all hardware, installation, configuration, and monthly service costs. In a nutshell, the grand total, $3,708,000 of costs would be covered up to 88.7% with the grant. We would be responsible for the remaining 11.3% or $418,000. So a rather large coverage by this grant. We'd like to take advantage of that, and therefore we're recommending purchase of the 6,700 Chromebook devices with associated licensing and peripherals, provisioning of student internet connectivity and Wi-Fi connectivity for all district buses as presented.
Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? I just had, and I probably ask you this, what's the lifespan of one of those things? That's 3-4 years?
The Chromebooks are coming up on 6 years, I believe.
6 years?
Yeah.
Okay, 5 or 6. Okay, good. I'm just kind of curious. So,
It really depends. With the remote learning, we'll probably get a little less.
right.
But again, when we went to one-to-one, we weren't really, with the lower levels, we weren't really, didn't have a lot of historical to provide evidence of how long they would last, but our team has done a magnificent job in extending the useful life of our products by shepherding them in and out amongst the grade levels to maximize the useful life.
Thank you. We have a motion, we have a second. There's no further discussion. A roll call vote would be in place. Thank you.
Member Perro,
Yes.
Member Badouris,
Yes.
Member Campbell,
Yes.
Member Venegas,
Yes.
Vice President Zach,
Yes.
President Quigley.
Yes. Ms. Nash.
Thank you, sir. Action Report 12.1 is our consolidated action report for this evening for certified and classified personnel. This evening, we're seeking your approval on all items as presented.
Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Member Badouris,
No.
Member Campbell,
Yes.
Member Venegas,
Yes.
Member Perro,
Yes.
Vice President Zach,
Yes.
President Quigley.
Yes. Superintendent information reports. Ms. Kinder.
Okay, a brief report this evening to kick off the new semester and the new year. Certainly not quite the way we intended to start the new year. I think we are all hopeful, and then we were met with many, many challenges that we are dealing with, getting the semester up and running, keeping our schools as safe as possible, and encountering every challenge that we're dealing with. But as we do here in Valley View, we are continuing to push on, continue the charge, and go strong every single day for these faces that you see in front of you, for our learners here in Valley View School District. So certainly much to celebrate amidst the challenges that we've faced, but a celebration in and of itself is that we opened the year. We've overcome some significant staffing challenges on Thursday and Friday of the last week, as well as today, but our team in every corner of the district, top to bottom, across the district, is doing everything possible to cover for colleagues, to pick up any things that may not be covered right now due to absences of staff. And so that's a celebration in and of itself. So just a few reminders, and of course, great appreciation for our staff for the successful start to the new semester, despite the conditions and despite the challenges that we know everyone is dealing with right now. So we're going to continue pushing on and continuing strong. So looking at the bright side, these are a few glimpses into our classrooms the past couple days, and our kids are working, and our teachers are working, and we have teachers covering, and substitute teachers, task force teachers, administrators, everybody pitching in to ensure that our kids are making the most of every minute that they have here with us. So looking at the bright side, looking forward to continuing to push on. I don't think I have to tell you much here. I think we all know what is going on in the community, in the district, in the state, in the larger region, and in other states as well. Case counts of COVID-19 with the new variant and the transmissibility are at an all-time high. We're experiencing that same surge in cases in district with student and staff cases as we see in the local community. I'm very hopeful that we're kind of reaching the peak of that surge. And so it's certainly an all-time high that we've seen. We are definitely seeing what is that stretch point that we can do where we can still make it with staffing. We've had a significant number of staff absences, up to 20% of our workforce who's been out and or returning due to close contact, exposure, isolation, and recovering at home or finishing their isolation period at home. And the same goes for about student attendance as well. We've been running at about 80%. Despite those challenges that we have there, we are continuing very strong, and I'm hopeful that we're going to kind of hit the peak and then start to level out with the new case counts so that we will see that start to come back to level, and we won't have such a great impact in our daily operations and get the continuity of in-person learning really strong. So we're working through that step by step every single day, as every other school district around us is. It's quite a challenge, but I'm optimistic. One of the big updates to share is the updated IDPH, the Illinois Department of Public Health Guidance. They have adopted the recommendations for isolation and quarantine that were previously recommended by the CDC. So that has reduced that isolation and quarantine period down to 5 days, which was previously at 10 days for isolation and quarantine at 14 days for close contact. Now, of course, there's some subpoints here related to the criteria for isolation based on whether you are symptomatic, based on whether your symptoms have resolved, you've been fever-free, and also the expectation that you continue to mask after that 5 days as well. So we will have a notice going out to parents tomorrow to explain this. We've shared this with our staff and our administrators and our school nurses who are working extremely hard to make the adjustments to return dates, and then to also continue to handle the contact tracing and all of those demands that have been put on them with this increase in cases. So it's definitely something we're working through, but the bright side to this is that those who are asymptomatic, those whose symptoms have resolved, can get back to school much quicker than they were able to previously. And so that's the big good news here that we have for students and for staff. In terms of quarantine, this just kind of distinguishes those who do not need to quarantine, and it's based on those who've received all recommended vaccine doses. And you see that on the left-hand side there. And then those who would need to quarantine if they have not completed all the recommended doses would need to quarantine for 5 days in the event of exposure to a COVID positive individual. So in short, the notification will go out to families, and then any questions that arise are best handled with being in communication with the school nurse or the school administration, and we will all adjust to the new guidelines as we have done many times before, and hopefully less disruptions to learning for our kids and our staff. We are expecting some updated additional guidance from the Illinois Department of Public Health this week, possibly tomorrow. We have a call, and potentially in the future as well. So we'll continue to update. We have updated our website, and we just ask our families to continue to be diligent with symptom screening and monitoring our children's health. We, despite how weary we've all grown with the fact that we're still dealing with this after such a great length of time, it is critical that we are vigilant about this, that we're working with the school and keeping sick children home so that we do not have increased spread or transmission in our schools. And masking still stands and is still an important mitigation that remains in place for all students, staff, visitors in our buildings and on our school buses. I did want to make one distinction about any COVID-related closures or the potential of any COVID-related closures. In the event of critical staffing concerns, which you may have seen around in neighboring districts or in districts in other areas of the state, or an emergency closing due to weather-related condition, one of two things would happen. One, it is an emergency day. That would mean no student attendance. That day would be made up by adding another day on the calendar. The second is an emergency e-learning day in which we would have remote learning, virtual attendance is required, and there's an early release schedule. Students, staff, and families would be notified by all mechanisms, phone, email, social media, if this were to occur. And of course, we will do our best to give as much advance notice as possible. When I tell you that we have people monitoring this around the clock, whether it be for weather and facilities or staffing, there's Judy down there shaking her head, across the district, I literally mean we have people monitoring this around the clock. So as soon as we, and I have to say Dave Richards in transportation as well, definitely watching this, and we understand that there is an inconvenience. We understand that it's the last thing we want to have in terms of if any disruptions at all. So we thank you for your understanding and patience because our goal is to keep moving forward and keep things moving. But in the event that we cannot for a day or a short period of time, we will communicate as soon as possible. And on the right-hand side there is a little blue box that clarifies the distinction between what I just described and then an adaptive pause. An adaptive pause is when the district or a school or a classroom would, because of COVID, switch temporarily to remote learning. This can only be done in consultation with the Will County Health Department or at the direction of the Will County Health Department. So the idea that we would just switch to remote learning because of COVID in a general sense in the larger community, that's not an option. It would only be a very specific response to cases in a school or in a classroom. The emergency e-learning information, we will share reminders and have that information available for families and staff in terms of making sure students have their devices at home. That's really critical, especially at this time of the year with the weather. And then also reminding students and families how to access the learning platforms, check in for attendance, et cetera. So I guess shifting gears to this slide, in the grand scheme of things, once again, we are back in kind of the management and the day-to-day operational side. We have not lost sight of the bigger picture with re-engagement and re-envisioning for future. So the Portrait of a Learner process will continue with just a slight delay. We will be reconvening in February, and then after that time, we plan to bring the draft portrait, which includes competencies, that establish the skills and mindsets that learners need for success today and into the future. We'll be bringing that to the board after that meeting in February. So I just wanted to make a mention of that. And also a mention that the state has opened up the window, is opening up tomorrow for the 5 Essential Survey. That time of year again, and I guess despite all that seems abnormal, some of these normal things just kind of keep clicking and are still expected of school districts. But most importantly, the voice of our parents and our staff and our students is a critical tool, despite just what we're dealing with currently, to help us continue to move forward and improve. So you'll see information coming out about that. We'll have our regular reminders going out and our next official update at the board meeting on January 24th. Thank you very much.
Board policies, Ms. Kinder, or is it legal?
Yes, we have 3 policies for the board's information to review. They've been reviewed by legal in accordance with the Illinois Association of School Board Press Policy Review as well. And these are board policies 4165, excuse me. I apologize here. 4165, awareness and prevention of child sexual abuse and grooming behaviors. This is a new adoption, recently required. 7200, suspension procedures, and 7270, administering medicines to students. These will be brought back at the upcoming board meeting for your approval.
All right. Next on the agenda, 13.3.
Yes, 13.3 is the adoption of a new course. This is Mathematics for Social Justice. I'd like to invite Mr. Adam Herder. He's the Executive Director of 612 Educational Services, supported by team members who have worked on this course proposal, and this is being presented for information this evening.
Adam?
Good evening. Thank you very much. We have several speakers with us tonight to present this proposal. I do want to mention we have educators from both Bolingbrook and Romeoville High School have been involved in the development to date. This evening, Ms. Vicki Morrow and Ms. Christy Lynn from Bolingbrook High School are here. The educators from Romeoville had other things going on. However, if there are any questions, of course, for any of the educators after the report, we could answer those. I'd also like to thank Christy Vey, who's our Director of Mathematics for our middle and high schools, and Sarah Hofer and Jess Amon, who are our core content administrators for mathematics at the 2 high schools who have been heavily involved in the project as well. So now I will introduce Ms. Vicki Morrow and Ms. Chrissy Lynn, who will present our slides.
Hi, I am Christine Lynn, and I am very excited about the prospect of this course.
I'm Vicki Morrow, and I'm excited as well.
The why. So why are we presenting this course? It's a chance to empower our students and give them a voice. This is something that the students want and the students have asked for. And it's really to give them the skills to understand the details of social issues and how to understand the numbers and the mathematics behind it. So it'd be in the classroom, school, and community within the world. So all the social issues going on. Next. Okay. And then here is our student voice and what the students had to say about the prospect of this course.
Mathematics for Social Justice course has to offer would be the unit regarding economic inequality. The reason why I believe this is due to the fact that the pandemic and how it's affected all or many of our families and our communities is something that's really important to learn about. Although we hear all the time about the numbers and cases and percentages, we have become numb to them as we think of them only as statistics rather than thinking of the real life situations and how it's affecting us. And I believe that would be something really interesting to learn about, especially as this wouldn't just be for like the pandemic. We would learn more about other situations and how it's affected us rather than just isolating it to one situation. a math class, I feel like it's different, you know, take it for the culture. It's different than just learning basic algebra. It's like something that actually benefits you, you know, because it plays into your real life. So take it for the culture. To begin, I believe that the biggest social
To paraphrase, our first student there was making the point that with the COVID pandemic, there's a variety of data and statistics available that are constantly in just the public discourse. And it's a perfect example of a social, community, worldwide issue that would be extremely interesting to dig into with core mathematics. That's essentially what she was saying.
What's the purpose of this course? Is using mathematics as a tool to understand ourselves, our community, and our world. Again, to take the numbers that we see constantly around us and understand what is being presented to us.
Hi, we see that connecting mathematics instruction to social issues is very important to our students. Overall, our goal is to build an informed society of consumers who can contribute to our local and even broader communities. We want to empower students to be able to research and understand the data and information that is out there and around them in the terms of being more of a data analyst, and to understand mathematical concepts and be able to use them to understand real world issues, as well as critique the different topics that they hear around each other. The purpose is to have the class, and our goal is to start in the beginning of the spring semester of 2023. At this point, it would be a one-semester elective course in the math department geared towards seniors primarily. It would be jointly developed and operated by both high schools, and it really would be probably our most real-world course that we offer today, and that's something that students are always asking us for, is how will I use this in the real world? It is going to be continued to be planned dependent upon board approval. We are all here, as we said. We are here to answer any questions that you have and to thank you for the opportunity to present a potential new curriculum, as this is on the cutting edge of what we believe schools are considering for mathematics instruction.
Anybody have any questions? If you do, if you want now or in a couple weeks, reach out to Adam and whomever, and I'm sure they can direct you in getting the answers you're looking for. Thank you all for coming tonight. Appreciate it. Now what you all waited for, the legal services report. Ms. Wagman.
Nothing to report.
Short and to the point. Moving down the agenda, Association Federation reports, AFT. Seeing none, hearing none. Valley View Council report. Again, seeing none, hearing none. Valley View office personnel. Moving down the agenda, any old business before the board this evening? Any new business before the board this evening? Seeing none, hearing none. Freedom of Information reports, as always, are on our website, updated on a regular basis by Mr. Blaney and staff. Thank you. Any announcements by the board this evening? From my right?
I actually have something. This was day 3 of me driving Sophia to the Early Childhood Center in the morning, and I have to say that I am very impressed with Jackie Brown and her team. It is an incredibly smooth process to get in and out of there. I haven't been late yet, so maybe it's different when you're in the front of the line, but but I just wanted to commend them, because it's been cold outside for the last couple days, and they're all out there. There's a lot of them too, so it's impressive.
Any from my left? Ms. Pirro.
Yes, I want to thank our entire Valley View district staff on everything that they've done to get us back to school this year after the holidays. It's not been easy. The other thing is Valley View Education Enrichment Foundation is going to be hosting the Wild Fest again this year. We did it 2 years ago. It is on February 6th from 10 to 4 at Bolingbrook High School. And it is a family fun event with lots of really cool animals for the kids to see, touch. There's presentations, lots of really cool stuff for families. So it's the week between the last Sunday of football games and Super Bowl. So there's nothing else to do that Sunday afternoon except come to Wild Fest, 10 to 4 at the Bolingbrook High School.
Are they going to have the alligator?
No alligator this year.
They got a really big alligator.
Yeah, he moved to Florida.
Good place for an alligator to be. I'm sure there's a lot of people in this room would like to move to Florida. Moving down the agenda, any announcements by the administration? None?
No, Moms.
Oh, to echo what Diane said, everybody, I'm glad, hopefully everybody had a relaxing vacation, come back strong. I do want to, again, reach out and say to Dave Richards and your staff, there are districts around us who are not opening because they do not have enough bus drivers. We are fortunate that we have been able to, and I don't mean scrabble together because we have a very competent staff, but we have been able to keep our doors open and not have to worry about that at this particular juncture. But again, if you know someone who would like to drive a bus and does or does not have a CDL license, there are some requirements that have to be met, but we would welcome you to apply at VVSD.org. I'm doing Judy's job for her right now, but seriously, it's a rewarding thing, as you saw with the lady tonight. I wish she was here and she could do a cheer for us, but much appreciated for all the staff of everybody to getting things open and up and running, and Rachel and everybody, please convey that. I'm sure I'm speaking for the board here. We much appreciate all the efforts. So. Beyond that, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
Wait, did you have something?
I just wanted to say thank you for your
sorry.
support, and essentially, you're spot on, and it's been everyone pitching in, transportation from first thing in the morning till end of the day, and everybody in between. We could not do it without every single person pitching in, and without the board's support. So thank you, and we will continue the charge.
Thank you.
Thank you all. With that, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved.
We have a motion. We have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. The ayes have it. Stay safe, stay warm. Thank you.